Good morning, Coldwater Nation, and welcome back to another basic to advanced fly tying video. Today, I'll be showing you guys how to tie the Squirmy Worm. The Squirmy Worm is an effective and very deadly fly that I've used to catch brown trout, steelhead, and even some tiger trout. So let's get into it and get started with the basic Squirmy Worm.
Fish! Nope. You didn't get very far, did you? Is it brown? Yeah, there you go, buddy. See you later, bud. No way. Woo! Come on.
He's tired now. Yeah!
Look at that toad.
What's up, guys? My name's Brian,
And I'm Geoff.
and you're watching EmpireColdwater. Let's rip some lips.
This video is brought to you in part by Upstate Excursions and by Black Dog Outdoor Sports. So to start tying a basic squirmy worm, I will use a size 10 scud hook from Orvis, as I like the bend it puts in the squirmy worm when completed. Next, I will start by covering the shank portion of the hook from the eyelet to just past the point of the hook. I am using 8/0 red thread from Perfect Hatch, but depending on the color of your squirmy material, you may want to consider using a different color thread. After a couple of wraps, be sure to cut off the tag end of your thread. Now it is time to add your squirmy material. The materials can range greatly, but I am using a 2 to 3 inch length of soft pink rubber-like material that Orvis produces. Now with your thread at the back of the hook, you will want to use 2 or 3 collection wraps to secure your squirmy material to the hook. Now lift up the end of your squirmy material that is in the direction of the eyelet and take a few wraps of your thread in front of where you tied in the squirmy material. Then take some wide wraps until you are about 1 eyelet length from the eyelet of the hook, and again use 2 or 3 collection wraps before cinching down on your thread to secure it. Again, you will lift up the squirmy material, but this time you will take wraps up into the eyelet. Now, you will want to take wraps around the eyelet in a collection loop to try to cinch the squirmy material down. This is rather difficult, and at this point the squirmy material is going to fight you, so you will want to take your time at this. But eventually, once you get 1 collection loop around, you should be able to get the next sequence, either 2 or 3 collection loops, cinched. It is at this point that I advise that you reposition your fly so that you have the most straight on forward contact while you do your whip finish. After cinching the squirmy material down, you will want to take your whipping tool and put a double whip finish to the fly. This is because the chemicals in most head cement glues for fly tying will melt and or destroy the squirmy material. Once you have your second whip finish on your fly, you are good to cut your thread close to the eyelet and you are ready to fish. For the advanced Squirmy Worm, we will start with the same number 10 hook, but we will also be attaching a 3/16 tungsten bead head before laying down our first thread layer like we did with the basic Squirmy Worm. This time, start your thread wraps behind the bead head and work your thread up until you are just past the point of the hook. Again, you are covering the shank so that the fish does not see it, but also make sure to cut your tag end. That's incredibly important. You do not want the extra wire just floating around in the water. This time around, you will want a 5 to 6 inch length of squirmy material, but there is a neat trick to getting the squirmy material through the bead head. To start, take your threader, push the bead head back slightly, and push your threader through the bead head. Next, take an end of your squirmy material and thread it through the threader like you would a piece of thread. Don't put the squirmy material too far through the threader, as that means there will be more material to pull through the bead head. Now you will gently pull the threader with Squirmy Worm back through the bead head. Holding the bead head back from the eyelet will provide a little more room and make pulling the squirmy material through easier. Do not rush this step, as most squirmy materials will break or tear before you can yank them through. Once you have the squirmy material through the bead head, you will want to gently pull the squirmy material in both directions so you can easily slide the material through. I like to have about a hook shank in length hanging off the back as my tail of the Squirmy Worm, but feel free to use what size works best for you. Once you have your squirmy material where you want it, you will take 2 or 3 collection wraps to secure the squirmy material in place. Now take wraps up the body to further secure the Squirmy Worm in place. Once you put a couple wraps at the bead head, you will want to trim the excess material to get it out of the way. Whatever length you use is fine. Now take your thread and wrap it a few more times around the bead head before wrapping back down the shank of the hook, back up the shank of the hook, and back down the shank of the hook to ensure that the squirmy material is as flat to the hook as possible. This is so that we can tie in the cut off piece of the squirmy material in a later step. Now take the excess squirmy material that you cut off and tie that into the back of the shank before wrapping your thread up to the bead. Once you have the cut off piece of the squirmy material attached firmly to the shank of the hook, you will want to take wraps up the shank of the hook towards the bead head with the squirmy material like you would a hackle feather. Try to pull back on the Squirmy Worm as much as possible to try to get as many wraps in as possible. However, do not pull too much on the end in which you are wrapping, because that will create a distortion in the worm and it won't look right. So you might see that I am fussing with the fly right now, and that's because I'm trying to get all of the coils wrapped around the shank of the hook to be of equal size. This does not need to look perfect, however, because this is meant to just look like a thicker bodied worm. Once you have wrapped all the way up to the bead head, you will take your thread again, and you will take wraps around the bead head, pulling the squirmy material while you do so, and taking wraps behind the squirmy material pulled off towards the bead head to secure it in place. This is a similar method which we will show in another video when attaching a feather or a hackle to the shank of a hook. So this is good practice now with a material in which you can see. Once the squirmy material is affixed to the fly, you are going to want to pull it and cut it. This will ensure that the end in which you cut will be hidden in the material. Take a few more wraps to guarantee that the fly is secure. Make sure the squirmy material isn't going to get away on you before you go reaching for your whipping tool. Now you'll perform a double whip finish as explained with the simple squirmy worm. Just don't use head cement on these guys. Squirmy worm material just can't take it. It will just dissolve your squirmy worm and you will end up with a fly that just doesn't look right. In this situation, I accidentally actually caught one of the ends of the squirmy worm. Don't panic, just set your bobbin down, reset, and finish off your fly. Now you have a simple squirmy worm and an advanced weighted squirmy worm in your box. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Tight lines, everybody.
We hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you like what you saw today, consider giving this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more.
Thanks for hanging out with us, and we'll see you next time.
Until then, tight lines, everybody.